Yeah, see, I told you that we're going to have to talk about more of these comments at the golf tournament as the days go on. Today what we're doing is going over to a very simple comment made by the Montreal Canadiens captain Nick Suzuki, coming to us from an article on TVA Sports. Take a look at this piece from earlier yesterday. Nick Suzuki has just compared Lane Hutson to the last Norris winner. When Lane Hutson skates, Nick Suzuki feels like he's watching the defenseman who had just won the Norris Trophy. He reminds me a lot of Quinn Hughes, Suzuki told reporters at the golf tournament. The way he skates and moves around the blue line. Obviously, Quinn Hughes is a fantastic player. I'm sure Lane would like to be someone like him. Suzuki said he had a chance to skate a little bit at the end of the summer with Hutson, but also with Logan Mailloux, who also made a good impression last weekend against the Maple Leafs prospects. I recognize that it's more difficult for a defenseman to reach the NHL, but they have proven that they can produce at a high level. I'm excited to see them in camp, stressed the number 14. Now, this YouTube video is like a minute in. We have the entire rest of the length of the video to go through. And so what I wanted to do was get into my own personal psyche as somebody who watches both Quinn Hughes and Lane Hutson on a pretty regular basis, I'd say, and just kind of give my 2 cents, you know, what is the tale of the tape? Do I agree with this assessment? Do I disagree with it? Why or why not? I think if you've been a fan of the Montreal Canadiens the past few years, and if you've been watching my YouTube videos talking about Lane Hutson over those years, you probably would have seen that comparison also muttered by me quite a few times. Yeah, I'm not going to go out there and hide it. What Lane Hutson does in hockey is absolutely game-breaking. And before he had even made his NHL debut, when Lane Hutson was in the NCAA, hey, spoiler alert, he was already outscoring Quinn Hughes and doing better statistically than the Vancouver Canucks' current captain is. Lane Hutson had an absolute crazy NCAA freshman year. It was something that we rarely ever see, to see a guy go as high above a point per game as he had done. And it wasn't even just about the points specifically, like, oh yeah, he had this record, he was matching Brian Leetch, he was second only to Leetch, etc., but like, sure, being better than Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, Zach Werenski, point production-wise, than all these guys, that's great, you know? You can never have a guy produce too many points. But for Lane Hutson, it was always about how he scores these points. He is the guy that, at the blue line, is so good with his pivots, his roving ability, his mobility to get across the ice is exquisite, and we had seen a lot of that during the Canadiens' prospect games against the Toronto Maple Leafs, how Lane Hutson can just kind of shimmy-shammy on a dime, he can pump fake left and then quickly go right, and then the opposing team's guy will kind of get frozen for a little bit, which allows Hutson to exploit that open space and that open second of time. Breaking in, finding another pass, his passing skills and other visionary IQ skills, they're all just so amazing. We had talked about the other day how Lane Hutson might have gotten disrespected by the folks over at The Athletic because of the average puck skills ranking that he was given by, I believe it was Corey Prodman, if I recall correctly. Either way, Lane Hutson is just an absolute force of nature, a totally different kind of defenseman that only comes around once in a while. And the thing is, one of those defensemen did just win the Norris Trophy in Quinn Hughes. Everything that I see out of Hutson, Quinn Hughes is like the big light bulb in my mind that clicks on and off when I say, yeah, that's a guy that reminds me of Quinn Hughes. It's just, in the NCAA, you could notice that the point production was a lot more in Hutson's favor, and while that is true, I don't want to necessarily say that I'm thinking about it like, oh yeah, Lane is going to break out in the same way Quinn Hughes did to eventually get himself a 90-point season and the NHL's Norris Trophy. That's a really big ask for any prospect, pretty much outside of a name like Rasmus Dahlin or Owen Power when they were initially drafted and brought into the NHL. You don't have Norris-like level expectations out of any prospect unless they're a legitimate top 1, 2, 3 caliber guy. Now, whether or not Lane Hutson is that remains to be seen, and in fact, we could make another video talking about the comparisons that have popped up about him and other defensemen in the NHL Draft in 2022, but still, there is a lot to look forward to when it comes to Lane that I think it might be a little bit foolish to start fully thinking about, numbers, point production, and fully focusing on the Quinn Hughes level comparison. Because I think even Nick Suzuki goes out there and acknowledges, Quinn Hughes, if Lane Hutson is like a guy like Quinn Hughes, then I think Hudson's pretty happy about that. It's a pretty high bar, a pretty high ceiling, so being able to attain that sounds like a pretty good idea. And so for me personally, when I say stylistically, I say hell yeah. Lane Hutson and Quinn Hughes play almost the exact same kind of game. It's just for Quinn, he's been able to do this at the best level in the world with one of the best power plays in the NHL the past little while here. Petey Miller, Besser, Hughes, so good all around, and with Jake DeBrusk coming in, I have no doubt that that success is going to continue. Montreal's power play, unfortunately, has been pretty bad this previous season. It was not great, and it's not even a guarantee that Lane Hutson is going to get an opportunity on the first unit like Quinn Hughes did, because, look, when Hughes made his debut with the team, he was paired alongside of Chris Tanev, and he was given power play minutes. Alex Edler was not really, the main guy anymore. He was already fading away. And then you had yourselves Lane Hutson on the other side, where it's like, hey, Mike Matheson, that guy exists. He is the #1 power play guy. Lane Hutson's job on Power Play 1 is not guaranteed at all in this upcoming season. So whether or not you're expecting the production to carry over from Quinn to Lane, that remains to be seen. Stylistically, though, I'd say they're very similar. It's just, for me personally, thinking about it long term, I don't want to ever go out there and guarantee that a guy's going to get 90 points in a season like Quinn Hughes did. Honestly, when Quinn Hughes was drafted, I didn't think that he'd be able to do that. I thought, in my mind, I was like, if Quinn Hughes finishes his Canucks career with at least one Norris Trophy, I think this 7th overall pick in 2017 could be seen as a win. But then he got one just 6 years later. So when you think about it like that, you think about how scoring has gone up, you think about how his role has really defined itself as being one of the best defensemen in the NHL. He's top 3, in my opinion, for sure. Top 2, debatably, and unfortunately I wouldn't say he's #1, but he is in that top echelon of guys. He just is the mold as to what kind of defenseman Lane Hutson can be. Puck possession heavy, all situations heavy, the top of the play runs right through him, he makes all the decisions, he's every second pass when they have sustained offensive zone pressure, and he gets a lot of points because of it, because his team is good, he's allowing guys to set up shop, and he makes brilliant plays that open up opportunities for the guys around him. A guy who allows his teammates to just be better, all while providing a huge show on the ice at the same time. Will Lane Hutson become the next Quinn Hughes? I don't know. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. This is my favorite kind of video because I just get to ramble on and on and on about guys that I absolutely love as hockey players. You talk about professional yapper over here. That's exactly what this is, and I'm not going to go out there and pretend that it's not. It's kind of my job to yap and yap and yap. But the best part is, y'all can yap too in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section as to whether or not you think Lane Hutson can be, or will be, the next Quinn Hughes. Do you see a Norris Trophy coming out of Lane Hutson? Do you see a 90-point season one day coming out of Lane Hutson? I'm going to set my flag in the ground here and say, Lane Hutson is winning one Norris in his career. He will have one 82-point season in his career. And that's going to be it. It's going to be great. He'll have 60, 70 points the rest of the time here. But he's going to be awesome. And I think Canadiens fans, pretty much till the end of Lane Hutson's career, are going to think about this guy as a huge steal in the second round of the 2022 NHL Entry Draft. How can they not? He is so talented already. And I think there's a lot of expectations being placed upon him that he's probably not going to have too difficult of a time living up to. So, Habs fans, Canucks fans, I want to kind of throw something out there for the Canucks fans. Does it kind of tick you off the way that we talked about this here? I personally do not think it's that bad of a thing. I think it's kind of, honorable to talk about Quinn Hughes with the greatness that he's got in the way that we are talking about him here, even though we're comparing him and contrasting him with a guy who's literally only a rookie in Lane Hutson, a second-round guy. So, do you think it's kind of a meh way to talk about it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.